you. Appreciate it, Matt. Running for Senate, in a word, no. It's always great to be up here, and I've got to say, we've been spending the past couple months on our show every morning talking about how Donald Trump is a marketing genius. But I've got to say, Matt gives him a run for his money, because this is the first event I've ever been to where as you walk in, they walk you past one brewery table after another. They have you drinking, and then they hand you a microphone, knowing full well, Matt, that somebody's going to say something that's going to make headlines. So hopefully that won't be me. I remember my last campaign, I was so stressed out and bouncing off the walls, and before the debate, somebody actually said, here, take this. I go, what is that? Said it's like aspirin. And so I took it, and I found out later that it was Ambien. I get out of the debate. It's about probably what I'm going to do here after drinking all of this stuff. I get out of the debate. I said, how did it go? And they said, Congressman, that's the best you've ever done. I swear to God, everybody said it was the best debate performance. They said, you were so calm. He kept coming after you about term limits, and you did great. And they tell me, though I don't remember, I spent 30 minutes talking about term limits. We got back to the office, and I turned to my beleaguered staff, who's twitching by this point in the campaign, and they said, I turned to them, I said, you know, the debate went really well, but you know what we need to talk about next debate? They said, what? I said, term limits. I'd completely forgotten everything. I'm sure I won't remember anything here, and with any luck with Matt, the other people I introduced today won't either. It is great to be here. It's always an honor to be in New Hampshire. It's an honor to see you all and the unique role you play, and I mean that, and especially this year, because every day we're on the show and we're talking about how people are running these campaigns that are basically like flying a plane upside down. And everybody, like the one above, don't look up, it's flying upside down. And everybody's worried that the Republican Party may nominate the wrong candidate. I don't know exactly who the wrong candidate is right now and who the right candidate is for the party. I know a lot of you all don't either. But I do know this, that for somebody to win the nomination and get a chance to be the 45th President of the United States, they've got to come through you first. And you all are really cranky. You're mean. You're some of the toughest people I've ever seen, toughest constituents, and the most knowledgeable. And I mean that as a compliment, because you can't be flattered. You can't be impressed. Why would you be impressed, after all, when you run into presidential candidates every day? So for somebody to win in New Hampshire, they've got to prove that they've got what it takes. And the next president is going to be critical to this country, more critical than ever. Last night, we were sitting around the table. I was asking my daughter, who's 12 years old, and my son, who's 7, how their first week was at school. And I said, did you guys talk about 9/11? And they said, no. And my 7-year-old said, what, is 9/11 like World War II? And so we sat there, and I told them about what happened on 9/11. I told them about a friend of mine that was in the South Tower on the 101st floor, who actually walked all the way down and told me about all the firemen that he saw walking past to their death. And they knew it. I talked about the heroism. I talked about how we came together as a country. And I told my daughter about Todd Beamer. She had no idea who Todd Beamer was. She had no idea that there was a guy on a flight who actually called an operator, said, what's going on? And she told him what was going on the ground. And I said, Kate, you know what Todd Beamer did? He said the Lord's Prayer with the operator. He said, tell my wife I love her. And then he said, let's roll, to a group of guys that he didn't even know. And I said, Kate, that was the first counterattack in the war on terror. And it happened as instantaneously as it happened on a train going to Paris, where Americans ran toward loaded weapons. Because that's who we are. And I explained to her that no matter what she hears about 9/11 in the future, what she hears about this country, and what she hears about how divided we are, it is a mirage at the end of the day. When it is time, we come together as a country. But we have got to start electing leaders that know how to bring out the best in us again. And we haven't done that in a long time. We're counting on you guys to do that, and I know you'll do it, like you do every 4 years. I want to introduce a guy who's been a friend of mine for a very long time. And he's a guy that, when I first met him in Washington, I thought he was a little crazy. He's always bouncing off the walls. He had so much energy, but he was so optimistic. And I realized it's kind of like that Apple ad that I love so much, about thinking differently. And Steve Jobs had it right. We are, as Americans, we're all a little crazy. We dare to dream and we dare to believe. And John Kasich, back in 1994, dared to believe that you could balance the unbalanceable budget. When I ran for Congress, we had a $300 billion deficit. I decided to run after seeing John Kasich on C-SPAN. Yes, I'm a dork. I watched C-SPAN when I was 29 years old. John Kasich and Tim Penny, a Democrat, important point here, a Democrat and a Republican, told the Democratic president you could balance the budget. And everybody said he was wrong. Everybody said he was crazy. And everybody was wrong. He's done a great job. He's done a great job in Ohio. And very excited to see him out on the campaign trail running for President of the United States. We've got a lot of great candidates. We don't know how this is going to end, but we do know that we've got some great leaders in this race. And one of them is John Kasich, former budget chairman, great friend, and my inspiration for getting into politics. So if you don't like me on Morning Joe in the morning,